I spent 100 days in Pixelmon turning my tiny Charmander into an unstoppable beast. I faced the strongest legendaries, battled against impossible odds, and gave some of the weakest Pokemon the most overpowered evolutions ever. But nothing could prepare me for what happens at the end. On day 1, I picked a fight with a Charizard and got wrecked. I got into a fight with a Mudkip and continued my losing streak. After reviving Charmander, I started training, leveled up, got a rank up key, and 50k from a crate. I kept training, leveled up, and learned Dragon Breath. He evolved with a piece of candy, and I gave one to my rival to evolve his Mudkip. We scrapped again, and my fire type paralyzed his ground type. I finished him off and secured my first win. For the rest of the video, I plan to complete 20% of the Pokédex, create the ultimate flying team, and torture myself by taking on the Shaft Gym, one of the hardest gyms on the server. If you want to see me suffer in real time, you can join the server using my tutorial in the description. Now after getting 8 vote keys, I got Dust Balls and Revives, which is pretty decent. I then teleported into the wild and found a little ship. Didn't find anything, but I did battle this cute Pokemon nearby, caught him, sold him off to the Wonder Trade, and got a donkey. I explored the Badlands next, finding the hardest Pokemon to catch plus a Sharkadet. I caught him using an Ultra Ball after several tries. I also wanted a Bagon and checked the wiki to see that he spawns at night. I caught Pokemon in the meantime, and Mudbray evolved. No horses in this mod, but this is the next best thing. At some point, I found the baby dragon. It was still night, so one Dust Ball did the trick. They're cute now, but they'll be terrifying by the end. After that, I wanted to find a Skarmory in the mountains. He may not be as scary as an armored bird, but Rukidi will do. Now I had an orb of static souls, and if I killed 271 Pokemon, I'll fill the orb and summon Zapdos. I tried strategizing for that, but got distracted by this Chimchar. This monkey got on my nerves, but thankfully I caught him. Chimchar is solid, but a fire and dark type I definitely put on the team would be Alferno. I've created my own pixel monster, and I've been wanting to do this ever since I was a kid. I'd also love to give him a moveset and abilities, and I'll eventually give him an evolution. You can support the channel and more custom designs by adding him to your merch decks at spicymerch.store, and if we hit 100 sales in the next 60 days, I'll officially add Alferno into the game. Now back to my game, I didn't have the flying team you expected, so I fixed that with a Magikarp, the best flying type in the game. He looked tasty, so I fried him up with some lightning. Crawdaunt looked tasty too, but got scared after what happened to his friend. Technoblade wanted to fight, so I teleported to his platform in the end. He had an awesome pickaxe plus an Arceus and Koraidon. Felt like I was battling the final boss before I even finished the tutorial. He demolished me and flexed his collection like it was nothing. After the battle, Pokemon spawned like crazy, inspiring me to build a platform myself. In addition to that, I'm also rebuilding Spicy Town, a town I created in my last video. I'm planning a lot of projects, and if you want to see my progress, you can visit with /warp's Spicy Town. Players build homes here, and one even made a battle tower. I'm impressed with the floor designs and the time it took to do this. A water gym was built too, which makes me want to build my own gym now. After that, I teleported to a friend camping in the jungle. He's been waiting 4 days now for Cubfu to spawn. He set up base, cleared the land, placed movement plates, and made AFKing a full-time job. He at least had a Zarude though that looked cool spinning on the plates. I was admiring that, but got distracted by this handsome bird. Made sure to catch him before he flew off and became a celebrity, and I also caught an Axew while getting some quest points. Racking up points can get me a Master Ball, which I can use on another Magikarp. Now I told him to build a platform, but he already beat me to it. I advised to raise it to keep spawns off trees, but he was too upset about the Cubfu to listen. I found NPC for my quest, but he wiped my team with one Pokemon. I was hoping the Wonder Trade would bless me, but when I traded my horse in, all I got was disappointment. That's when I traveled to the swamp to hopefully find a Gligar. In the meantime, I found a village, but the trainers were level 40. The day wasn't a total waste, as Gligar spawned at night, and I caught him with a Dust Ball. To evolve him, I'll need a Razor Fang from the shop, and I'll need to give him candy at night. He became a majestic bat, and I can now fly around on his back. Now I came back to the mountains, dug 4 stacks of dirt, pillared it up, and started building my platform. Got distracted by this pink thing, but stayed focused. My first Pokemon spawned, but I instantly shoved him off. I then asked my friend for help and got mesmerized by his outfit. He dug dirt like a maniac with his crazy shovel and flew right back up on his Rayquaza. I found a Larvitar as well as a Hitmonchan looking ready to knock me out. I ended up knocking him out and got his punching glove. At night, my friend found a boss and fought him with his fancy team. Tons of Pokemon in suits and a Bidoof who looked very sus. Tons of high levels here, but I just focused on the weaker ones. I also got a rank up key and a Knuckles emoji. It's fun to flex these in chat to the people who don't have them. Now I expanded the platform again, and as I did that, a Tinglu appeared. No idea how I'll do this, but at least I was given a ton of Dusk Balls. Got him down to 86, but it wasn't enough. In the second attempt, I paralyzed him first, but only got him to 82. Bought Focus Ashes for my team and got him down to 70% this time. Gliscor's bug move was a great counter, but Tinglu killed my team over and over and I had to use revives constantly. I was running out of balls and feared Tinglu might use struggle and die. However, after 30 turns and getting him to 8.6%, I finally caught him with a heavy ball. I screamed in chat and jumped for joy knowing that it was over. It took focus ashes, life orbs, revives, and several attempts, but I never gave up and I got my sweet taste of victory. A spectator rewarded me with a Regice plushie, so I put it on my head and watched him bust some moves. I then claimed the platform and made a player warp. You can check /p warps and look for my skin if you want to catch legendaries here too. I later toured a staff town and checked out their builds. Coolest part was the Rayquaza build, and I know if I made that, it'd end up looking like an entirely different Pokemon. Afterwards, I fought an Eternatus at spawn, since I guess everyone has a legendary now. He showed off his team and had an odd looking Salamence. The mod felt like she needed to flex too and brought out her motorcycle. A Regidrago was here too, pulling out the best animation in this game. Tired of these show-offs, I went back to training. My legendary made the process a lot easier, helping the rest learn new moves. Rukidi evolved and still might be tiny, but will soon become the biggest bird on the server. Now I got excited about this platform, but I'd say it's okay at best. Hardly any Pokemon, and the ones here make mine look like legendaries. I did find trainers with Heatrans and got fishing logs as well, which I guess is nice. I also found a Hitmonlee, and Magikarp finally evolved into something useful. Bagon also evolved and looks a lot angrier now. Found some high levels too, like the Seviper, who was even higher than Tinglu. An epic boss spawned, and I adjusted its level by using lower levels, paralyzing it while slowly chipping at its health. Gyarados and Charmeleon did some work, and after defeating the boss, I got some rewards, including its Megastone. After crates, I remembered I wanted to show off /challenges. I completed a lot of these from the last video and wanted to collect the rewards. If you want to make money in tokens, just mine some ore. There's also farming rewards, and I got a ton of money just from harvesting apricorns. You also earn a lot from evolving and trading Pokemon. I got 2 rank up keys, and when I opened one, I got a legendary key. There's no guarantee for a legendary, but luckily, I got one. I got a Yveltal, another flying type. I guess that's my reward for defeating that boss earlier. Now after getting Tinglu and Yveltal, I finally completed the legendary catcher quest and got another legendary key. I also got a shiny spinner, and when I opened it up, I got an insane looking Spiritomb. I then spun for the legendary crate and got a chat color voucher. I never felt more disappointed. But hey, at least I can change the color of my text now. I was bummed out, but my spirits were lifted when Charmeleon evolved into Charizard. A couple more evolutions and a couple more legendaries will make my team complete. I battled the mod at spawn who laid some traps with her Shuckle. She followed up with a Zacian along with a Miraidon. I had no chance against them, but I did down her Shadow Rider. Her last was a Mega Rayquaza who finally ended my misery. After checking out Mewtwo, I flew on Yveltal and found a castle near my town. People here are dedicated to the grind, and I respect it. Pretty soon I explored the ocean with Gyarados, realizing I could stay underwater for as long as I want doing this. We found a shipwreck, finding a tidal bell in the chest, but nearly drowned in the process. After thanking Gyarados for saving my life, I came back home to place the bell and waited for it to ring. While fishing and doing quests for a Master Ball, I realized I hadn't been to Ultra Space yet. I teleported to my friend Silex, but when I asked him to open a portal, he opened up the wrong one. Thankfully, another friend used Arceus to get it right this time. I flew in with Yveltal and found myself in the Ultra Jungle. I found a Fractured Den, a gang of monkeys, and a cool orangutan. I also found a boss here who put up a good fight, but couldn't withstand my Charizard. I trained in different biomes and casually found Duats in this one. I lost a rare Samurott raid, but I was happy to catch a Vaporeon. I also found this incredibly hard to reach Dragonite, but catching this beast was worth it even if he had the evil eyes. I hopped on his back and found a Kofagrigus who looked like a worthy catch. Dragonite and I found a 4-star raid, and I thought he could cook here, but realized he had terrible moves. We still won though, and even got a netherite scrap. After catching a bite, a legendary boss Houndoom spawned. Perfect for my quest. I used the Ultra Space Pokemon, and while Gabite paralyzed him, my 2 water types were total letdowns. I had to constantly revive Dragonite to win, but at least I got the Megastone and completed the quest. One more quest and that Master Ball is mine. In the desert, I found a super rare Magmortar who came with a Magmarizer. I also picked up some Beast Ball loots and found a Dread Plate for my Yveltal. Then an Ultra Beast spawned near me, and I was completely stunned by its beauty. I took it down to half HP, but got scared of killing it. I knew I caught it when I heard the ding and saw the ball turn black, but then everything froze and the server rebooted. As soon as I came back, I checked the PC and my heart calmed down. If I didn't catch him, I would have just ended the video right there. After that, I found a level 98 Garchomp who was much harder to catch than that Ultra Beast. It took 14 turns, but at least I got an achievement. After catching this Magmar and Torkoal, I just needed one more fire type to complete the quest. A golden Pokemon with a surfboard caught my eye, but it wasn't fire, it was Ghost and Steel. After catching a Houndoom, I used my quest points to buy a Master Ball, and I'm now ready for Lugia. Some friends here waited with me, and they had some nice hats. They had cool Pokemon too, but nothing beats Lugia. Speaking of legends, I opened up a rank up and got a legendary plushie spinner. I got Arceus and placed him at my house. In the meantime, I also evolved Corvisquire with an XL candy. I opened up another crate and got a Pokebag, just what I needed. After realizing Gyarados never turned into a zombie, I got another Magikarp, burned it to a crisp, evolved it, and this one seemed normal as well. I don't care what I have to go through, I'm getting that zombie form no matter what. I also checked my orb and just needed 200 more KOs. I came back to Ultra Space for that and found a Galarian Rapidash as well as a Togepi. Thanks to the wiki, I found out he evolves with 220 friendship. To increase that stat, I bought a ton of berries and spammed him with them. His happiness was now 220, so I used a rare candy and evolved him. I checked the wiki again and used a shiny stone this time to evolve him into his final form. With that, I now have a fairy flying type, a very unique combination. Didn't turn Gyarados into a zombie, but I can turn someone else into one. I placed the torch down and took one last good look at my innocent looking Charizard. I right clicked him with a pumpkin and turned him into a zombie. This form looks epic and I can't wait to see what he turns into next. I showed it off to my friends, but they were preoccupied with the business deal. He later wanted me to meet his Dragonite and I showed him mine. Him and his Dragonite were terrified of mine and I didn't blame them. While here, a legendary boss spawned and I whacked it with Yveltal. Without him, I wouldn't have won since my team is just that weak. That's about to change though, as the bell had finally started ringing. Didn't know what to do now, so I just waited. At night, a level 70 Lugia finally spawned in. One Master Ball later, and Lugia was mine. 2 legendaries down and a third on the way once I filled the orb. Until then, I guess this is my team for now. I gave Lugia the boss's Mind Plate, and I think he got distracted by this guy's moves. They weren't great, but they were much better than Lugia's moves. That's when I headed to the move relearner and taught Yveltal Oblivion Wing and Aeroblast for Lugia, all for free. Returning to Ultra Space, I now had a much easier time beating Dracozolt and Jolteon. This really is my favorite place in Pixelmon. Tons of battles, unique Pokemon, and a perfect spot to train Shelgon. Now I wanted to catch more sea Pokemon, so I walked along a beach and found a massive ocean monster. No way I was passing this up, even if it meant my Pokemon had to drown. After catching it and another sand Pokemon, my dex hit 19%. Back on the platform, I caught everything that spawned here and spotted a Gigantamax Cinderace. Easily the coolest thing I'd seen. Catching a Barnyard pushed my dex to 20%, completing my first goal and earning me a 150k reward. Most rewards will come as I progress, but that's for the future. Just as I was leaving, an ultimate boss Charizard spawned. I wanted that Mega Stone badly, but I also respected his level. Using Ultra Space Pokemon, I paralyzed him, got good hits in, and brought his HP down, but he still demolished my team. Rapidash took him down to 0.2%, but it wasn't enough. My third attempt was even worse as I struggled to even paralyze him. On my last try, I paralyzed him first and Dracozolt chipped away. The MVP was Probopass with his rock move getting Charizard to the red. Golem finished the job and I finally got the Mega Stone. With the stone, Charizard can now Mega Evolve. He loses the zombie form, but I'm fine with that. He's a lot stronger now, but is already struggling in battle, which is kind of embarrassing. Still, this form is amazing and he'll be a huge asset. I also found a Charmander here, and it's funny that my Charmander was also in this exact position at the start. Anyway, I grinded raids for XP and found a Frost Rotom along with his Grass and Fire bros. I battled a player 2 and wanted to quit when Shuckle cooked Lugia and Calyrex wiped out my team. Shelgon revolved right after, so I might have a chance next time. After non-stop battles, it was time to build my village. I'm building a Poke Center, so I cleared the land and made the dimensions while trapping this tutor into a hole. Once I got the floor done, I started building the walls and added some red blocks. I then used blue stained glass for the entrance and made a pretty decent looking Pokeball up front. I placed a few more blocks down and the outside was complete. Now it was time for the interior. I made banners, lanterns, and fences. I placed a light on the ceiling and lanterns in the corners. I also made a front desk with a Pokeball right smack in the middle. I stole some vending machines from a gym I visited earlier and placed them here, finally finishing the Poke Center. A guy came to flex his legendaries, reminding me that I still need to get my Zapdos. I'll need another Master Ball, and my first quest was defeating 5 players. Fought a guy with a terrifying Groudon and a scary Ice Dragon that destroyed my team. In another battle, Charizard somehow clutched against a Zamazenta and a Xerneas, but died to Lugia. Salamence tried to get revenge, but Lugia was too much. Things looked bad, but the tides turned when Corviknight dodged most of Arceus' attacks and somehow prevailed. This was a great fight, and just note that he was only using legendaries. It came down to Zacian versus Lugia, but Zacian was much faster, and even though he beat me, I was still satisfied with my performance. Mid-fight, someone randomly gave me a Kyurem plushie, so I went home to go place it. Looked at my quest again, and I had to catch 5 fire types. Thought I'd just find Carkles here, but I actually found a Charmeleon. Without Ultra Balls, it was a tough catch. Not fire types, but I did find a dino and a giant cat resembling Mewtwo. I got a Fight Club achievement and checked the rest of my achievements. I'll make it a goal to complete all of these, but defeating 5,000 Pokemon sounds like a nightmare. It's already tough enough to even fill up my orb. After catching this creepy crab whose eyes bugged out, a legendary boss Charizard spawned, but flew off before I could battle it. I got on my Charizard's back and chased it in the sky, making sure it didn't escape. Once I got into battle, I realized Yveltal and Lugia were the only ones to take him on. I constantly revived them and chipped away at its health. All I had left was Lugia, but one last ancient power did the trick, defeating the boss and earning me his Megastone. Charizard X looks amazing, but he's not a flying type, so I can't keep him on the team. He'd definitely be awesome if I had a dragon team though. I traveled to the Mesa next and found a 4-star Typhlosion den. This was an extremely rare den and I was happy to catch him too. I thought I spotted a shiny, but it was just a legendary boss, though I did get a flame plate. Now a bigger surprise than that den was finding a Ceruledge. I made a smart move to wait for the server wipe before I bought more balls. It was a tough battle, but I caught him, and I have to say, this is my favorite design in Pokemon. In the Mesa, I eventually found a base full of plushies and one of them even waved. He had legendary ones as well, and I think he also built his base near a ground gym. Taking on the gym was absolute torture. Dealing with a hippo that constantly healed was no fun. The icing on the cake was when I beat the hippo and he brought an ice type to obliterate my team. He beat me just as the server rebooted, which is kind of a flex. After that defeat, a path of light shined my way when a Salamence boss spawned. This one was a lot more tame and I didn't have to chase him down. Once again my legendaries did all the work, earning me the Megastone and even an Ultra Necronium Z, the best late game item ever. I took a minute to catch the Turtonator and then headed to spawn to test out my new evolution, which did not disappoint at all. I'm curious to see what evolution I'll do next, but for now, it's time for Ultra Space. My friends and I teamed up to fight this 5-star Steelix den, and got Earthquake and Earth Power after winning. I gave Earthquake to Salamence, Mega Evolved him, and used the attack in this multi-battle. It's the best way to get levels, but that's if the attack hits everyone though. I fished here as well and found an octopus who looked like such a chill guy. At a certain point, I realized these battles didn't fill up the orb, so I wasn't a genius after all. That sucks, but there's still a lot here to fight, like this level 88 Metang. He practically is a legendary when it comes to catch rate, and after 20 turns, I wanted to give up. But after 30 turns, I finally caught him. I found an Electivire shortly after, who only took one ball. I evolved Metang, but he was too stubborn to fly, and I had to ask myself if he was really worth it. After catching Ampharos, I went back to my platform to grind KOs. I caught a Poliwhirl and realized I pretty much caught every Pokemon here. I needed 100 more KOs but wanted to catch Pokemon too. I traveled to my friend's end platform and I gotta admit, I feel like I could do a lot better. To build my platform, I'll need a diamond pickaxe. I also mined obsidian at the Ultra Plant and stole books from a village to craft an enchanting table. After crafting 15 bookshelves and placing them around the table, I grabbed some lapis and did a level 30 enchant on my pickaxe, getting efficiency 4 and unbreaking 3. Using a smithing table as well as one netherite ingot, I can combine the pickaxe and ingot together to get my first netherite tool. I can now mine all the endstone to my heart's desire. I built towards the small end islands and then built up to Y150 for the platform. A Bronzor spawned and an Abra appeared as well, but disappeared in a heartbeat. After finishing the perimeter, I spotted a Paradox Pokemon backed into a corner and caught him first try. Took him out to admire him, but then another Paradox spawned. One Ultra Ball was all it took, and without even finishing the platform, I've got 2 Paradox Pokemon. As I placed more blocks, another one spawned and I thought to just catch all of them. I found 2 more and this one looked friendly when he waved. Not sure what to say about this other one, but I was surprised to see him take down Charizard. I still caught him and found yet another Paradox after that. I had a whole team now, which is kind of crazy. My next finding was some version of Jigglypuff but looked cooler. A few more blocks and the platform was done. As I filled up the orb, I spotted the smallest Iron Valiant ever. Charizard could smack it with his tail and knock it off the platform. He looked weak, but he knocked out 2 of my Pokemon and took 17 tries to catch. They were so easy to find, but I did find non-Paradox Pokemon like this Grandpa. Now I thought I had this Paradox, but it was different from the one I caught and looked a lot better. Also, I just needed 4 more KOs and I'd finally be done. I killed this Abra and now had a fully charged orb. As a reward, the server gods gave me a shiny spinner from a crate. I got a shiny Grubbin, while this guy got a shiny Groudon, which seems totally fair. This other guy had a shiny Meloetta, and I now don't like Grubbin anymore. After buying a Master Ball from the shop, I checked out the player warps for a Zapdos shrine. I teleported to one, right-clicked the orb on the shrine, and out came Zapdos. I wasted no time at all and used my Master Ball on the Electric Bird. I now have my 3rd legendary on the team, and although he was a pain to get, I know the Zapdos was worth it. I now have my final team, and I couldn't be more excited. I logged in the next day on a snow platform with an epic boss nearby. The guy I'd spawned on was AFK, so if he comes back, I'll ask him if he wants the rewards. My team was strong now, so I didn't need revives or focus ashes. Yveltal did serious damage, earning me the loot. I caught a snowbird nearby, gave him an XL candy, and watched him evolve with Regice in his face. He mega evolved into a bomb of snow, and I'd love to put him on the squad, but he unfortunately can't grow wings. At spawn, I battled a player with a Dialga, and I knew I was cooked. Salamence' Earthquake failed, and he took down 2 of mine. Arceus' Perish Song doomed Yveltal, and Charizard fell to Zekrom. Lugia took down Zekrom, but I lost to his Necrozma. To be fair to myself, he did have a full legendary team. Feeling unsure about Corviknight, I decided I'd swap him for Zombie Gyarados. I fished a level 50 Magikarp, burned it, evolved it, and got a terrifying nightmare-inducing Gyarados. I've got my final team now, and it was time to EV train. I bought berries to lower stats, and fought a bunch of bodybuilders, reptiles, magicians, and even walruses. After training, I opened crates and got a ton of rare candy, and went to buy some moves. I went to the move relearner first since he's free, and then the TR shop for the expensive ones. There were also move tutors here that taught Charizard Scorching Sands. I'll showcase the moves I got for each member, and I'll let you guys decide on whether or not it looks like I know what I'm doing or if I'm completely clueless. I can use the Pokebuilder to get my team to level 100, but I'll need tokens. I took on the Battle Tower for tokens and candy and then spammed my legendaries with sugar. I've got a full team of level 100s, and I now want to make them shiny. I spent 750 tokens each on both of my dragons, and they looked spectacular. I saw their Mega Evolutions as well, and as I figured, they weren't much different. Charizard, in my opinion, looked a lot better, and a lot scarier too. His X form though made him a green dragon with blue flames, and I'm not sure how I felt about that. The team looks incredible now, but I want to make them bigger. Using the Pokebuilder, I made them ginormous, and they look terrifying now. Charizard basically takes up half the screen when I ride him, and is basically the size of an Ender Dragon. Now I wanted to go back and take on that ground gym, but there's one more evolution I need my Charizard to go through. I need to find a mushroom island and jack him up on shrooms. The island is tiny and the ocean is huge, so I took breaks from time to time and explored underwater with Gyarados. I did pass by a grass gym on the way, and since my team counters it hard, I thought I'd take it on. I bought Sharp Beaks from the shop to boost their flying moves and fought an epic trainer with Pokemon at level 130. His Breloom kept putting my Pokemon to sleep, which was super annoying, but I finally got rid of him. He obliterated my team though, and then came running to laugh about it. The real leader was much easier, and Lugia really cleaned up. He had a Virizion, but Salamence quickly took care of it. He also had a Mega Sceptile, and knowing that it was part Dragon, I used an Ice move against it, one-shotting it and getting the badge. I then took on the Legendary Trainer, and did surprisingly better in this one than with the Epic one. I barely won though after a brutal fight with his Meganium. I then hopped back on my Dragon and found a Chalice in the ocean. I've gotten a lot of plates from bosses, so I'm really not that far off from getting an Arceus. Later on, I passed by some really beautiful colors in the ocean, but what I really want to see are the colors of shrooms. After days of searching, I finally found the island. I collected as many mushrooms as I could and had PTSD from this Breloom. I then went home, made some bowls, and combined them with the mushrooms to make max soups. I'm giving these soups to Charizard and Corviknight since they have the coolest forms. I also made Corviknight ginormous because why not? I fed them both the soup, and they now have the Gigantamax factor. I got a Dynamax band from my last video, and with that, I can now Gigantamax Charizard. This guy looks so incredibly cool, and it's just ridiculous. He pretty much looks like the final boss of a fantasy game. It was now time to test out Corviknight, and as expected, this guy looks even more epic, and I think it's cool how he's got little birds circling around him. I made him more epic by making him shiny, and I like this form a lot better. If you ask me, I think this color fits perfectly with his typing. I got into a battle with his Giratina, and it truly felt like a battle of the gods. Both of them looked menacing, but he did have the better Pokemon in the end. I fought him again with Charizard, and everyone was just in amazement of what they were seeing. It was kind of embarrassing when he got knocked out, but that's just Giratina for you. Now this guy amazed me when he brought out the Paradox form of Salamence, who was much bigger too. Salamence one-shot him though, and also took down Zamazenta. Things looked good until he brought out his Ice-type Arceus that completely countered my team. The battle wasn't going to last much longer for me, but at least I got to see the shiny Rampardos. Later on, I took on the ground gym. I got my revenge on that Hippo, but Excadrill took out my Pokemon left and right. Lugia froze him up and took him down, but the battle was not going well and I used tons of revives. He had a Mega Camerupt, but Gyarados was a great counter. It was a messy fight and I barely managed to beat him. After that fight, I didn't have much hope in fighting the Epic Trainer next. Quagsire laid spikes, and Torterra surprisingly survived my Ice move. Gyarados dominated, but Charizard struggled. He did take down the last Pokemon, which was all I could ask for. Next up was the Legendary Trainer, who had a Mega Swampert. I didn't have a single grass move on my team, so the Swampert got away with everything. I finally beat him with Gyarados after constant revives and eventually beat the trainer. Before the leader, I used Dynamax candy from the raids to give my team more HP. Him and I both Dynamaxed and his Sandaconda looked like a giant tornado. He was smart to use Protect to stall out my Dynamax turns, but I still had strong Pokemon like my Lugia who outmatched his Zygarde. Getting the gym badge was easy, but it's nothing like the Shaft Gym, which is 10 times harder and doesn't allow revives. Before battling the leader, I had to take out his grunts first. I fought mainly rock and ground types, making me wish I had more water types. Charizard had to face 2 rock types at the end, and I barely won. The next trainer had a Ferrothorn, perfect for Charizard. I felt confident until Cobalion one-shot my giant dragon. Salamence came in for revenge, and luckily for me, Charizard's G-Max move burned him and killed him. Zapdos had a terrible matchup, but luckily he missed his attacks and I won the battle. Another guy was fighting the leader, so I took this opportunity to prepare. He did have all legendaries and was a Pokemon expert, but that just means I can learn a lot from him. I actually spectated his other battle with the senior admin on the server, and it was intense. Both had shiny Yveltals, and that's when I knew this battle would be epic. He Dynamaxed the Yveltal, which gave him a slight edge. This was going on forever, but Minecraft eventually won and defeated Sweaty. Pretty soon, I found an Arctibax here, which was a super rare find. I brought out my Big Bird to fight him and used a couple of Fury attacks. I caught him, gave him some candy, and evolved him into an icy Godzilla who looked menacing with his size. Another pseudo-legendary who'd go great for an all-dragon team. Now Sweaty told me the leader starts with Melmetal, so I used Charizard first. I G-maxed him and burned his steel with Max Flare and took him out with it. Conkeldurr was next, so I used a flying move to dish out tons of damage. Charizard was taken out, but his flames did some work since it burned Keldeo too, helping my Salamence. Landorus was next, and since he's super weak to ice, I used Avalanche, which doubles in power if you move second. My plan worked out, and I was quite proud of myself. Next up was Magearna, who I feared the most. I didn't know what to do here since Charizard's gone, and this one Pokemon killed 3 of my legendaries. I came back the next day and used Charizard against Melmetal and Gyarados against Landorus as per usual. I felt slumped though when Keldeo one-shot Zapdos, making this battle worse than the last one. Before the next battle, I came up with a plan. I changed Charizard's moves to Fire Blast and Hurricane to give his G-Max moves more damage, and I also gave him a Life Orb to maximize his overall output. Charizard's Wildfire beat the Melmetal and his Max Airstream one-shot the Conkeldurr. He reduced down in size, but his Fire Blast along with his G-Max Flames beat the Landorus too, taking down 3 Pokemon by himself. I then brought in Lugia to fight Keldeo, and his flying attack did massive damage to this fighting type. Lugia chipped away at Magearna before fainting, making it easier for Yveltal and Gyarados to finally take her down. Salamence finished off the Kangaskhan with a few fighting moves, and I had finally defeated the Shaft Gym, completing my 3rd and final goal. I couldn't have done it without my Charizard, and for a moment, he felt like the strongest Pokemon on the server. But if I'm being completely honest, that took me over 40 tries, constantly switching items, putting Pokemon in different orders, and ripping tons of my hair out. Anyways, I had a blast making this video, and I'll be playing on the server pretty often. Now, if you're a boomer like me, don't worry, my tutorial will get you on the server in under a minute. But seriously, huge thanks to everyone who watched, especially those of you who made it to the end. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next time.